going through the 7 is the army or leading the troops. Often that's about violating another boundary, bursting through a limit, or defending against that. That's what armies do. But in order for armies to function, there has to be a kind of an exchange, a kind of a system. They need to have within themselves, even though there's hierarchy, a certain level of openness, which is hexagram 58. Hexagram 58 is lake over lake, and in my charts, lake has to do with systems, it has to do with understanding, has to do with past and future, that kind of framework of linear time, as opposed to presence, which would be wind. And when you have an understanding of something, you're limiting it in some way. You're standing under something, and you are discarding those things that contradict your understanding. It's a closed attitude, even if there is an exchange when we have an understanding. So it's imparting both energies, whereas an army is similar in that it has an exchange on the inside, but on the outside it's really about conquest or defending against conquest. With an army, if you're not the leader of the army, there can be a challenge, a desire to challenge the authority, to not follow the rules, especially if those rules are limiting you from what you want to do. And yet, in an exchange, which is more of a democratic system, there's a give and take, compromise. If you're not actually in an army, then it's a little difficult to know when to be led, when to submit to other authorities, and when to allow for that exchange. Both of these can feel like a totality. If you're engaged in an exchange, if the exchange is working for everybody, a win-win scenario, you may think that that's all there is. You don't have a reason to look outside of it. Whereas an army, if you try to look outside of it or leave, that's AWOL, absent without leave, AWOL. So there's a certain coherence or boundary, even in a lake, even in a system. Because whatever's outside that system, whatever's outside that lake, is excluded. Likewise, whatever's outside the army is excluded, perhaps conquered, or defended against, as if it wanted to conquer. So for unity and for true peace, then we go beyond systems and we go beyond armies. We go beyond exchange. But it's hard for the human mind to conceptualize that. There's a voice in everyone that blames itself, blames you, blames other people. And if a general in an army is blaming, then they may get more fear from their soldiers, but those soldiers won't feel inspired to go the extra limit unless they're truly afraid. And they won't be creative. In a system of exchange, we acknowledge the voice that blames, that general who is angry, and we do want to hear what it has to say.